Beyond Boundaries Paranormal take on the Old Adelaide Gaol here in South Australia. This is an exclusive investigation where Justin and I will be locked in and free to roam by ourselves to investigate as we please. We have to thank Ghost Crime Tours for making this option available to us. Part of the agreement means that we cannot go into full documentary mode regarding the history of the jail, but we can give you a quick rundown on some facts about the jail. It was built in 1841 and was in operation for 147 years when it finally closed its doors in 1988. During this time, it housed approximately 300,000 prisoners and is known to be the longest continuously operating prison in Australia. Capital punishment in Australia was enforced up to the year 1968. Adelaide Gaol had a total of 45 people who were hanged, including one woman, the last being in 1964 in this hanging tower. Over 200 people died inside the jail walls. Many of these were through suicide or self-inflicted injuries. Any paranormal investigator would agree that suicides and untimely deaths such as hangings are a recipe for hauntings. Imagine your last moments in absolute desolation and despair, knowing your life is in the hands of another who is holding a lever, and they will pull that lever which will plunge you to your death, a death that is not always so quick. Adelaide Gaol is claimed to be the most haunted site in South Australia. Former prisoners, guards and even governors have been seen and heard to be walking the hallways and cell blocks of this old jail after death. So it is no surprise that Justin and I are eager to get inside and try and capture some evidence of these hauntings. So as night falls and the dark clouds roll over, we meet at the jail at approximately 9:45, where we are greeted by Darren and Nicola from Ghost Crime Tours and then locked in to do our investigation. Can you give us some sort of sign? Maybe not.
Center. Channeling. Casket.
Are you in that room? What was that? Noise around there again.
That was that side. What was that?
Did you hear that? Oh, it's just like 6 on a millimeter. Hey, that was bizarre. Sure, there was a lot of yelling going on in this yard at some point. Home base in the medical centre. We set up a base camp in the medical centre to prep our equipment and use it as a vantage point as it was easily accessed from all parts of the jail. Our plan of attack was to move from this medical centre straight over to the A, B and C wing of the new building. We made sure we came fully prepared with a lot of equipment. We had our static night vision cameras mounted on tripods, we had our audio recorders, we had our EMF meters, we had our still cameras, full spectrum cameras, UV torches, infrared illuminators, static charge sensors, the spirit box, the ovilus. We were ready to go. Right, I'm just about to head out, start our investigation at the jail. Where was it? Light switch. Oh yeah, it's behind that thing. That's A wing there. This is B wing with the staircase that people hear going down. I hear someone going down. That's C wing, straight down there with another camera. This new building is a confirmed hotspot for activity within the jail. It consists of 3 wings, A, B and C, and it has 2 levels of cell blocks in each. So we decided to set up 5 cameras, one being in the C wing, looking straight down the hallway, another in the A wing looking straight down the end of this hallway, and we had 3 in the B wing, one looking straight down the hallway past the cells towards the end door, one at the base of the stairs looking up the stairs, and another just to the left of the stairs also looking up the stairs. Alright, let's do some EVPs. We'll stand still down here a bit.
Alright, you might not have seen us before. We're going to introduce ourselves. My name's Paul.
My name's Justin.
We're here to try and collect some evidence of some inmates who may be still here residing in the jail. If there's anyone in here, would you like to talk to us? We're interested in you. You've obviously got a pretty good story to tell us if you want to communicate with us. So we're going to ask some questions and we would like you to respond. So if there's anyone here, can you give us some sort of sign? Maybe not.
Center. Channeling. Casting.
Action.
Immediately upon asking for a sign, we get a response on the ovilus.
Can you please show us something?
That's my shadow.
I get the feeling we're not alone here, so... Is there a prison guard in here with us?
Darren tells us there's someone who walks up and down the top of the level here. Do you want to show yourself to us?
Far. Casting.
Farm.
Fun. Turn that off for now.
Yeah.
Due to parts of this second level being unsafe, we were not actually allowed to venture up there to investigate, unfortunately.
Justin's holding a device in his hand. If you can see what he's holding in his hand, that can record your voice if you want to speak to us. Can you maybe yell out your name to us?
You will probably notice us using the term hung, referring to past hangings, which is incorrect. The correct term is actually hanged, so we do apologise for that now.
Frederick Carr, are you in here? This is where you were hung.
Frederick Carr. You weren't a very nice person, were you?
How many hours a day did you spend in these cells?
So that's where they fell here.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. Straight through that trapdoor. What about the women back then? What were the women back then like? For me and Justin, that's nearly 100 years ago. You died nearly 100 years ago. So think about that. When you died, you'd have to think back 100 years before you died. That's what me and Justin are doing right now to talk to you.
It's now 2016. It's been a long time.
We've got a magazine or a book with lots of pretty women in it from our time, 2016. Would you want to see it? Naked, no clothes. We can go and get it if you want.
You show us something. I've got some smokes.
This tactic is in no way aimed at objectifying women. We are simply working an angle to try and invoke a response which is in context with hardened male criminals that have been locked away from society and the opposite sex.
Sounds like a sweet deal. You want to show us something?
If you come and knock on the wall or come and say something, make some noises, we'll show you some pretty women of our time, 100 years after you died. Colourful pictures, as if you were looking at them then and there in the flesh.
Cool in here.
Yeah. Oh, in that room. What was that? Oh, in that room. What was that? Oh, in that room? What was that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, in that room?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, in that room?
This unexplained loud bang or click seemed to have come from around this staircase somewhere. Nothing visually was caught on any of the cameras.
Cool, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, in that room? What was that? That came from down here.
Not right there. It's what?
Freezing.
It's cold. You say. Oh, what? You feel it?
Oh yeah, it is definitely colder in here. It wouldn't be you with us, would it, Fred? Fred Carr? Frederick? You keen to see the pretty girls? Noise around there again.
That was that side. What was that?
Do you hear that?
Yeah.
Noise around there again.
That was that side. What was that?
Do you hear that?
Yeah.
Noise around there again. Noise around there again. You keen to see the pretty girls? Noise around there again.
That was that side. What was that?
Do you hear that?
Yeah.
Watch Justin's body language here. We both hear the noise and turn to look. Then Justin quickly turns around as if he was touched or he heard something else.
What was that?
Do you hear that?
Yeah.
Noise around there again.
That was that side. What was that?
Do you hear that?
Yeah. The first one came from
Yeah,
there, didn't it?
there was a big click in here.
Maybe we have stirred up a little bit of activity, but we can't pinpoint or tell exactly where these sounds are coming from.
I've got some cigarettes and I've got some cigars.
This book I'm holding in my hand's got lots of pretty girls in it with no clothes on. In colour, coloured pictures as if you were looking at them in real life. What if I leave this on the steps with Justin's cigars? Would you like to come and have a look at them? We'll sit it here and leave you for a while. Feel free to come and pick it up and flick through the pages. These are the women from our time. Frederick Carr, that would be nearly 100 years after you hung in here. Come and have a look at the women. The women of our time, 2016. I'll leave it here. Let's come and flick through the pages. Even if you're the guard, come and confiscate it before the prisoners get it.
At this stage, Justin and I decide to split up for a little while, as I have to go around to the other side of the jail and set up 2 static night vision cameras. Justin will stay in this new building for a little while longer to try and capture some EVPs by himself and then meet up with me around the other side. The first camera I set up is in a structure known as the Hanging Tower. This hanging tower was the fourth and last place where prisoners were hanged. The second camera I set up was in the remand cell block, which is just a little bit further up from the hanging tower. This area is also reported to be highly active, where footsteps and shadow people have been seen and heard on both levels.
Okay guys, come out and play. My name's Paul. I'm going to come back here in about an hour. Feel free to come down and check out this black thing here. Right here. Come and knock on the door. Come walk along the top railing. Let me hear your footsteps.
As Justin is still roaming the A-Wing trying for some EVPs, I want to point out that it was the A-Wing that had the most executions, where 21 prisoners were hanged. These executions took place at the end of the hallway on the second level, where we earlier pointed towards a trapdoor. We both meet up between the north walls and make our way towards the hanging tower, where we will try and call out the spirit of savage murderer John Balaban. He was executed in the hanging tower in 1953.
Balaban, are you here? Hanging around anywhere? I don't think you're very tough, Balaban. Probably a sissy.
In some situations we will try and provoke. John Balaban was convicted of 5 vicious murders, so we feel a little bit of playground banter would not be crossing the line of disrespect.
See if you can make the trapdoor fall down, Justin.
How did it feel when the doors dropped?
Glenn Saber Valance, you hung in here as well. Last man to be hung. You got anything to say? You still hanging around here? You killed your boss and raped his wife.
I've got some cigarettes in my hand. They feel like one. Touch me on the hand and follow me.
Balaban, the picture I've seen of you, you got a cigarette in your hand. Oh, I just got a spike. 6 on the millimeter.
Watch closely here. As I indicate a 6 milligauss spike on the millimeter, you'll see an orb appear from in front of my leg and do a maneuver across the left of the screen. Dust can often show up as little specks and orbs when it cruises past the illuminator and camera view. But this one is interesting as it appears below the millimeter, which just showed a significant spike, and then it shows an irregular movement pattern, almost like a maneuver towards the camera and then off to the left. We go to the static night vision camera beside the door of the entrance to see what it picked up. As the clip rolls, you can see that the camera angle isn't quite wide enough to pick up where the orb appeared on the handheld camera I positioned on the floor.
6 on the millimeter. Oh, what's the spike? 6 on the millimeter.
Because of this significant spike in the millimeter, I decide to go and turn on the full spectrum camera that is mounted directly above my infrared camera. Unfortunately, I didn't have it activated a little bit earlier because it would have been very handy to determine whether that orb was in the UV spectrum as well as the infrared spectrum. It is well known that dust particles can show up as orbs if they are close enough to both the illuminator and the camera lens at the same time. But there is also a strong theory to suggest that if a spirit is present, its most efficient way of moving around may be in the pure and natural energy state of an orb, and then maybe when the conditions are right or enough energy has been acquired, it may manifest into an apparition. Or in some instances, it may just need a human observer to decode the frequency that it has, just like a TV receiver receiving a signal.
Did you get one last spike before they hung in? If you didn't, come and get one of Justin now. He's right in here.
After no apparent responses, we decide to start the spirit box to see if we can capture any voices within the radio frequencies.
Hey. That's stuck on 104.7.
Yeah, I heard it. We have a strange and unexplained sequence happen within seconds of us starting up the spirit box. The spirit box is an AM/FM radio that sweeps back and forth continuously. It's not meant to stop or pause on anything. In suburban areas, you do get radio bleed come through from the radio stations, and you'll hear small snippets of music and voices here and there, but nothing that should last for longer than a split second. Let's first listen to what happens. As you can hear, Justin has already started the spirit box, and it's sweeping its way through the frequencies. Then all of a sudden you can identify the sound of a guitar, and it seems to get stuck on this song on the radio. You can then see Justin pause and look at the machine because he realises that it should not be stuck. And if you are watching closely, and what makes this more bizarre, as Justin put it, is the orbs that come into the frame from the right and cruise to the doorway, disappear, then reappear, and then move around Justin's head. Let's have a look at it slowed down. As you can see, the two orbs come into frame from the right, the bottom being a little bit brighter than the top one. They reach the edge of the door, then disappear, then reappear, where one dips down the opposite way and the other seems to intensify and head upwards. A third can be seen also going upwards to the right of Justin's head. Let's have a look at the full spectrum camera and see what was captured. And it looks as though the full spectrum camera has only captured the intensified orb as it moves upward. Although the full spectrum camera does add the ultraviolet light to its bandwidth, the infrared camera is actually more sensitive as it has a larger sensor which allows more light in and therefore more detail to be caught on film. This may explain why the full spectrum camera was only able to capture one of the orbs after it intensified. This whole sequence is intriguing because, as before with the Melmeter, these orbs appeared just as the spirit box was behaving in a way that it shouldn't and actually has never before. We can't prove this to be paranormal, nor can we prove it to be a magical little dance of dust orbs just as the spirit box is doing something strange. So we will just leave it as intriguing and unexplained.
This would have been the last room you were in before you were home.
Can you tell us what happened in this room beforehand?
We stay inside the hanging tower asking questions with the spirit box for roughly another 15 minutes, but don't get anything significant come through. So we make our way back around to the courtyards to see what we can find in there. We get another static night vision camera on our way through and set it up here in Yard 2 and slowly make our way through to Yard 3 and Yard 4. These courtyards have got the old cell blocks that oversee them, and Justin and I both agree that you do get a creepy feeling that you are being watched from above.
Hello? Well, this is good. That's cool.
Is that you?
Yeah.
With nothing interesting captured, we double back and make our way to Yard 4.
Smoke. Anyone here want to smoke? You want to communicate with me?
Come on, smoke time. Justin's got the smokes out there in the middle of the yard, holding his arm out. Just go and take one off him. No favours owed, they're just free.
First in, first served. One of you inmates, give me your name. Whether you like us or not, tough.
Come and stand up at the front of your cell. I can see the doors open, so you're not locked in there. Someone's here, come up to me and speak. Come and speak in my ear. If you can see my face lit up, come and yell at it. Come and yell something. I'm sure there was a lot of yelling going on in this yard at some point. Sure there was a lot of yelling going on in this yard at some point. Yard at some point. Yard at some point. Yard at some point.
This strange, unexplained noise seems to be a voice that gets drowned out by the metal sound of a door or something sliding or grinding. With things still seemingly quiet, we make our way over to the remand cell block.
Poke your head out of that door up there. Is there a man who beat his wife to death in this cell? Do you tap a walking stick along the floor? Did you murder your wife? Take these two cameras back to the base and then we'll go back over to the other wing and...
With no evidence or action occurring in the remand cell block, we decided to head back over to the new building to see whether any restless and curious spirits had made their presence known to us.
Alright, we're going to head back over to the new building and check it to see if anything happened after our little experiment. When I say the new building, the newer part of the old original part. This is still over 100 years old, this part. Were you tempted with a cigarette?
At this point, we actually decide to start wrapping up the investigation part, as we have a lot of equipment spread out in several parts of the jail that we have to go and collect. But one significant thing that was found upon reviewing these cameras in this new building was a man's groan or moan from the C wing. The next closest camera was in the B wing, and it was faintly picked up by this camera. And the camera furthest from the one in C wing was the one in the A wing, and it was not picked up on this camera at all. So through this triangulation of these three cameras, it is easy to work out that it occurred in the C wing, as this is where it was heard the loudest and clearest. When you have incidents like these, it could be either one of two types of hauntings, a residual haunting or an intelligent haunting. A residual haunting is when the emotional imprint is left behind or left over from a traumatic event that keeps looping over or replaying at certain times or in certain conditions without an actual spirit being present. On the other hand, an intelligent haunting is exactly that. A human spirit intelligently choosing to moan or groan, whether it's through pain or just being fed up with being in a cell for so long. This moan occurred from dead silence, and it was an hour and 10 minutes into the investigation. Justin and I were both over the other side of the jail at the hanging tower at this point. And more importantly, it was just us two in this entire jail for the 4.5 hours that we were here, so this could not have been noise contamination from other people. There were a couple of other things that were picked up while reviewing the cameras in this new building, but it turns out that they can both be debunked. The first one is a potential orb, but even to the untrained eye, it's pretty clear to see that it's an insect. The second is also an insect, and it's the quicker, slower, quicker motion that represents the propulsion it receives from each flap of its wings. That concludes this presentation for our Adelaide Gaol investigation. Unfortunately, we didn't catch any apparitions or Class A EVPs, which is the Holy Grail sort of stuff. But we will be back to try again, so hopefully the spirits can acquaint themselves with us and vice versa, and we can capture some strong evidence to present to you. Thank you for watching this presentation.